Hey, what's up, lunatics? My name is D-Town. I'm here on behalf of Interlude TCG Supplies, where you can find all of your waifu trading card game accessories. Are you playing the One Piece trading card game? Go check out our exclusive Dawn cards that we did for the game, as well as other trading card game supplies like binders, card sleeves, deck boxes. You name it, we've got it. Use the code above, and let's get into this deck profile. We are looking at a discard aggro deck, and it's not just any discard aggro deck. This deck in particular is very spicy, as we are using one of the unfortunate locations to have been shadowed away by things like Queen's Castle and McDuck Manor, the Pride Lands, guys. The Pride Lands, coming from one of the best Disney movies, The Lion King. This location here is only 2 cost and has 7 willpower. Almost said strength. That would be crazy. And although it costs 2 to move into it, once you get a character in there, they gain 2 willpower, which is really interesting. And then if you have a prince or king character there, you pay 1 less to play characters. And what's cool about this is that you're not just using this ability once, it is for all cards in your hand all the time. So the effect is almost like you're just tapping multiple lanterns. So let's take a look at the lineup here. We're using 4 Cursed Merfolk. This is an aggro deck, and this card is very aggressive. We're using 4 copies of the 1-drop Flynn Rider because we do want to get a 1-cost card on the field, if possible, to really start our aggressive play style. Flynn Rider is a prince, ladies and gentlemen, and we love princes in this household because they trigger our ability here. They also gain that fat 2 willpower, which is really nice. Not such a big deal for this Flynn Rider, but for the Charming Rogue, it is very cool because this turns Flynn into a 1/4 rather than a 1/2 if your opponent decides to just let him do his thing in quest. And what that means is that it's a little bit harder for a character to run him over. So if they don't have anything that attacks for 4, then you may end up discarding 2 cards from their hand if they take them down with 2 different characters. So that's really nice. Quest for 2, a perfect 2-cost inkable card. We're running 4 copies of Sudden Chill. And although we're not using the Singing Ursula, we're running Sudden Chill because we are running Prince John as our draw package. Do you guys remember Prince John at all? He was in set 2. He popped off for a little bit and then seemed to get overshadowed by things like just Bucky, and people found other ways to draw around him. Well, in this deck, we're running him because, as his name suggests, he is also a prince. And what that allows us to do is, if he can survive for a few turns, which I don't know why he wouldn't because he has Ward, he can move into the Pride Lands and gain 2 willpower as well, which means now you could feel free to start questing with him, as typically cards only attack for 3. And if you are controlling the early game board enough, then he might be able to sneak some lore in there while also staying alive until your next turn. We're running 4 copies of Ursula and 4 copies of Bare Necessities to take out anything that we feel like is going to disrupt our aggressive discarding plans. They also discard cards, which means, yes, you are triggering your Prince John to draw some more cards. We have Kit Cloud Kicker. Now, Kit is great as a way to kind of halt the early game shenanigans that a lot of these meta decks like to do. You can stop things like the turn 3 Robin Hood. You can stop things like the turn 3 or turn 4 Ursula Singing. It just kind of buys us an extra turn, which for an aggro deck, that is the money right there, folks. That's the money. And so it's also great in aggro matchups because it allows us to swing the tempo back in our favor and could really help us catch up, especially if we're going second. Another thing too is it puts additional cards into your opponent's hand, so you can Kit Cloud Kicker them and then Sudden Chill that card away, ultimately having Kit destroy them. We talked about Prince John. Now, a card in here that I'm not too sure about, and this would be the flex spot if you wanted to add something in that maybe fits your locals or your meta a little bit more, and that's the Donald Duck Perfect Gentleman. We don't have a lot of ways to draw in this deck. We do run Rapunzel and Prince John, but if we can't seem to find them, Donald Duck kind of helps us speed back up a little bit. It's also nice because since it's putting cards in our opponent's hand if they choose to accept it, on our turn, that gives us the ability to use cards like Ursula and Bare Necessities and Sudden Chill to then try and rip those cards back out of their hand. We And then our strongest card in this deck will be Flynn Rider, not only because this is a discard deck and he could quest for up to 4 lore, but he's also a prince. I mean, that is just awesome for us. Cards that used to just take him out, like, you know, Tinkerbell comes down, she does 1 damage to him, she kills something, she does the other 2. Well, now he's a little bit stronger because of Pride Lands. So if you have him there, he is now a 2/5 with evasive, and that is just massive whenever your opponent doesn't have very many resources left to take care of him. A really, really great card in this deck, and strictly because it's inkable, is Friar Tuck. Now, Friar Tuck is kind of a double-edged sword, because it says when you play this character, the player or players with the most cards in their hand choose and discard a card. Now, what that means is it doesn't say opponent, which means you could also end up discarding a card from your hand if you have too many. So in that case, you're most likely just going to ink him. Something that's really interesting to note is if both players are tied. So let's say you have 4 cards in hand, your opponent has 3, and then you play Friar, so now you have 3, your opponent has 3, you both discard a card. So that's really handy because, I mean, what comes after Prince John on 3? It could be Friar Tuck on 4, discard, gain a card, and now you're up 2. He also quests for 2 and has 4 willpower, which is a crucial number, of course, 3 strength characters being rampant in today's meta. He could kind of tank a hit for us, and that 4 willpower is really nice because we could line it up for a turn 5 Rapunzel. All right, now let's talk about some other early game cards. So we run the Queen, and this card you could sub out with whoever you want. I've been running the Queen just because I don't really know any other options. I mean, if we wanted to, we could take a look really quick at our 1-cost cards. Lilo, I feel like the reason I don't want to play Lilo is just because we want to control the board state just a little bit more. Cinderella could be a decent option, but I think we're valuing the 2 strength pretty high. And yeah, all these other characters have 2 strength. Zazu, that one actually could fill this spot a little bit better because if we put Zazu into the Pride Lands, well, now he's questing for 2, which is really nice. So yeah, maybe we'll try that out actually. Because I think whenever I originally made this deck, I had the Queen in there thinking I was maybe going to add the Shift as well. But it's an aggro deck. We're probably not going to use that Queen hardly at all because we'd rather be questing. So yeah, I think this is going to fit really nicely in here. Okay, then we have the Pride Lands, of course, and then Simba, another prince character. But not only just a prince, a bodyguard for our cursed merfolk. So that allows us a little bit of protection, could potentially get that 4 questing power in with our Simba blocking that damage. For bare necessities, just to rip out items, locations, things like that. And then Rapunzel to, and you know, hopefully get us back in the game if things are going pretty sour. Not so great for cards like Prince John and our Tiny Flynn, but great for things like Ursula, Flynn Rider, the 1-cost, and then Donald Duck and others, right? Like we're probably going to end up drawing 2 to 3 cards most likely. So that is the deck profile. Right now we're 3-0. Let's see if we can win some more games in ranked and maybe some casuals, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. Okay, cool. We're in our ranked game here against Cursplode, playing Steel Sapphire. You're probably also wondering, Dallas, what is that that table back there? And that's because I'm gonna power bomb someone through it later. So if you keep worrying about it, it might just be you. All right, so we have the Pride Lands here. We've got Prince John. We don't have very many ways to discard outside of Ursula. Oh, we do have Friar Tuck, which is nice. So maybe we'll drop a Friar Tuck and see if we can grab a spell. No, but we did grab another discard option, which is great. Hello. So I think we'll go ahead and drop Ursula out. We'll move the Zazu here and we'll pass. So cool thing about Zazu moving to Pride Lands is that he becomes a 2/3, which is pretty sick. But of course we have to pay 2 to get in, which is quite the hefty cost. Okay, but our opponent didn't play anything. They don't think they have any rush cards, so we'll go ahead and get our Flynn out here. And we'll go ahead and establish, I think. Yeah, we'll establish this because it's not inkable, and it's still gonna gain us a lore. That's something else I forgot to call out. Okay, they got the flounder and the smee. Right, and we're gonna go ahead and I guess. Yeah, we'll put the Ursula out. I kind of want to hold the bodyguard just in case. We'll drop the John. We'll drop that John. And then we'll keep the Zazu up because we don't want Smee to trade into it. Potentially play a captain here. In our next turn, we could play Friar Tuck, which will get us a card. Okay, decides to quest. We've drawn all of our Ursulas. Could also just play the Ursula and then play Simba. That sounds kind of fun. Or just move the Prince John in. Yeah, let's take a peek at their hand and see what they're working with here. Okay, so they got Fishbone. Looks like they're gonna go into their Gaston next turn, but we'll go ahead and snag that. Since they have Rise of the Titans, we probably won't care about moving to the location. So instead, we'll go ahead and play our Simba here. And we'll trade the Zazu, I think. And then we'll quest with the Prince John. Now, if, let's see, go to 5. Yeah, if they end up not killing the Pride Lands, we might just move Prince John into the Pride Lands and play Friar Tuck. Okay, so they do play Rise. I'm not sure what they inked, but I'm assuming they still have Gaston in hand. So that means our Ursula is not going to be great. But Friar Tuck will discard that card from their hand. And then we'll draw a card. So I'm happy to do that sacrifice, because we're just going to start questing up like crazy here. We'll draw a card. And just like that, I mean, the power of Friar Tuck is just so good. Oh, they're keeping Flaversham, of course. Yeah, that makes more sense. All right, well, we'll see what they have. They're on their... We're in the control world now. Yeah, Cogsworth, not going to be too great for them. I think we'll go ahead and hit here. And we'll gain a couple cards. Throw out the Zazu, I think. And yeah, we'll just quest up with everything else. All right, we're on lethal. Is your heart beating like my heart's beating? All right, stuck in the victory against this top tier Steel Sapphire deck. Sapphire unfortunately has a tough time against aggro because they need to get set up, and in the meantime we're just questing our little butts off. I think the Ursula play there was especially crucial because we got to envision what our opponent's line would be, and that allowed us to play appropriately. So we knew that they were going to drop Rise of the Titans to destroy our land, which meant that we were able to save a couple of lore from moving Prince over there. And yeah, I think the Friar Tuck snagging that Hiram at the end was pretty clutch. So anyway, let's go to game number 2. All right, another control deck. So we'll see how this plays out. I think Amethyst is probably the worst matchup for this deck because of the amount of mems. But we'll see if we can't sneak one out here. I'd love to grab Prince John if we could find him. So I think I might just... We'll just kind of go ham looking for him here. Okay, enough. No more Prince Johns. Okay. Whew. That's the worst thing, is like seeing 3 in your opening hand. Okay, we are lucky enough to go first again, so that's pretty fabulous. We'll drop the Simba. Hopefully we'll get something else to ink. Well, I guess we'll have the Ursula for Rapunzel. But the line I'm thinking here is Flynn into John into Ursula. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're gonna go here to Flynn. Start trying to pull some cards out here. Well, we won't be able to Ursula them before they get, what's it called? Friends on the other side, if they decide to hard cast it. So that'll kind of be a shame, but all good. Yeah, we know this classic combo here. That is a lot. Seems like Rapunzel is gonna have a little bit more difficulty getting off. So we're just gonna play this out and offer up the trade to our opponent here. So next turn we could do Ursula into Flynn. Definitely need to start discarding some cards. So it's a good first start at that. It's unfortunate we didn't have Sudden Chill, but that's okay. Okay, so they did draw up, which is a shame. We could go another Prince John into Merfolk. But let's see if they have any songs. I think just peeking in their hand is good. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna snag the friends. They can't Pinocchio us. They can't Madame Medusa us. Merlin's not that big a deal, so go ahead and grab that. We'll draw, and then we'll get out the... I think we'll go ahead and get out, let's see, our next is going to be 5, so maybe we could play both of those next turn. Once they play down the rabbit, if they don't have a bounce for it, then we can hit our Ursula into it and play Rapunzel for some more card draw. Okay, so let's go with, I think, so Flynn doesn't do anything this turn. I guess we'll go this route. If they have a bounce, then that's going to be unfortunate for us. But I also feel like we need to move a little quick. I mean, they didn't have Be Prepared earlier. Yeah, I guess we'll just pass with this. Merlin can't grab a card just yet unless he gets bounced. I'll draw 2 here. Potentially more with Rapunzel. And then I think at that point maybe we can start questing pretty fast. Okay, so he did have the bounce. I'm glad we didn't tap anything else. That means we won't be able to get value on the Rapunzel, unfortunately. And this is what I was afraid of with this deck, is these things, just these 2 cards by themselves can wreak havoc on our Pride lands. It decides not to use that. So I think right before 7 is whenever we'll potentially cast this. What we'll do now is go with... Well, actually, maybe casting it now is not too bad. But I kind of want to hold it till next turn. Perhaps after they draw some more cards with the rabbit. Don't really see us getting value here unless they tap the Pinocchio. Alright, this is a little bit greedy, but let's just see what they have. Okay, so they had a castle, nice. So that'll get us 2 cards. Out here stealing from our man. And we'll pass. So we almost have lethal on board. Opponent doesn't have Be Prepared. They can, however, play Madame Medusa this turn. We have the Flynn Rider, so if they end up discarding 2 cards, they have the ink as well. So they discard 2, they play Madame Medusa, they'll be at 1. That'll put a huge spike into our... Okay, they don't go for the Madame Medusa, so they're gonna let us keep questing a bit here. Probably just looking for the Be Prepared, I'd assume. Okay, they do discard a card, which is great. Gives us 2. Merlin gone. Ooh, nice. Redlands is a pretty good pickup, especially if they have Be Prepared. Kind of slow them down again. I unfortunately don't have another way to stop them from... Alright, I can't discard any more cards out of their hand. Drop this down. And... guess we'll... Prince John in. Isn't that 4? Which means Madame Mim can still take him out. Yeah, I mean, if they have Be Prepared, it's pretty awful for us. I guess we'll go ahead and quest here. And quest here. So basically, if they don't have to Be Prepared, then it's okay, so they might have to Be Prepared, which in that case was a good plan that we quested with everything. They don't have the Be, okay, they do. Cool. Whew, that was gonna be spooky. And they should still have the other lady, the Madame Medusa. So it's Madame Medusa plus something else. So if we play out Flynn, he just dies to Madame Medusa. So I kind of want to wait for another Flynn to come out. Yeah, it's pretty crappy. So just start with this. I think it's Madame Medusa plus Rabbit. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I should have played the Flynn to prevent them from playing the Rabbit out. 2 rabbits. That's not great for us. That, on the other hand, is pretty nice. So just hardcast this. See what they discard. Discarded Maleficent Dragon. Alright, so we'll play this guy out and just take the bait here. And I actually probably should have maybe inked the Rapunzel. Okay, might have drawn into another Be Prepared. Oh, wait, what happened to the... Oh, the Medusa was discarded. Oh my gosh. Well, that's just silly. I think I just keep the Rapunzel. So that's, I believe... Okay, so that's only 2 rabbits down. They still have 2 other rabbits. Okay. Let's take a little peek here. There's Maui, Merlin, and Madame M. Maui, Merlin, and Madame M. The nail biter, folks. This is a nail biter. So if they play the Maui, they... now it's like they're probably scared to ink, because then they lose cards out of their hand. Kit is a... when you play this character, you may return a card, so we don't have to bounce a card back. If they don't play the Maui, then we go to a bit of a scary state. How many B preps have they played? 2. I know they're gonna kill that. I guess we just force them to have the Be Prepared here. A 3rd Be Prepared. Alright, hey, we took it. Another top tier deck down to our Pride Lands discard aggro deck. Okay, let's get a final rank game here. Oh, very cool. Amethyst and Sapphire. So I see Sapphire, which makes me think we need to play a little bit aggressive. And this looks like a pretty aggressive hand. I'm not sure if Kit is going to be needed. I think Bare Necessities will be pretty nice here. And what I want to find is... I'll find our Prince John if we can. We are going first, so that's really nice. Okay, perfect. Oh, such a good hand. What's nice is, like, we have so many early game cards that, you know, you're hardly ever going to brick on the first couple turns, so we always got something going on. They discard their friends on the other side ASAP, which is kind of funny. What I'm going to do is ink the Simba. We'll play out this dude, and then we'll pass. That's because we want to get maximum value off of this Prince John here. So don't have to worry about be prepared. We don't have to worry about grab your sword. So we can basically go as wide as we want. Olaf. Okay. We're already going to look at their hand, so... And they're going to be discarding a lot of cards. So let's see... And they already discarded a song. Aha! Queen's Castle is still in their hand, though. Alright, so we got Mickey Mouse, Elsa, Madame Mim. Madame Mim's really the only issue here. Everything else, they're going to have to ink on their turn, which is unfortunate that we've stripped their only method of inking away from them. Okay, so they did ink the Madame Mim. So now they have Mickey Mouse and Elsa left. We're not too concerned about those cards. See if they want to discard any cards from their hand. They do. So we'll draw a card. Alright. I mean, I think it's the right play to do. So right there. They dropped the Elsa and the Mickey, so we have no idea what's in their hand now. Assuming it's not a song. So I think what I want to do is Prince John, ink this, and Merfolk. And then I guess we'll just pass here. Thought about maybe hitting the Rafiki, but Squirrel or Rabbit Merlin. Almost said Squirrelin. They're inking. They're getting up to something here. Not sure what it's gonna be. Go ahead and just play out each of these cards. Just go really wide on the board, and this will let us control this a little bit better. Also, if we hit a Pride Lands off the top, that'll be really nice. It was a song. Man, that was ballsy from my opponent. Alright, our Fire Tuck's looking pretty nice here. And it'd be great if we could hit a Flynn. Flynn or Pride Lands would be nice. Let's see if they ink this card. They do. So they get a free Merfolk attack. And our Fire Tuck's not as juicy anymore. I could trade into the Merlin and see if they want to draw a card off of it. And if they do, They left the Rafiki up. Yeah, let's see if they want to draw the card. You decide to draw it. Okay, so then we'll go with display. So this will, even though we have to sack one card, we get to draw two and our opponent discards. So. If they have any songs now, they're probably just going to sing them immediately, so I don't think Ursula's going to do us any good. Stick out this guy, do some questing. Since we have another backup Flynn in case we draw the shift. Another Merlin. It's problematic for us. Immediately discards. Makes sense. The opponent is up in this game currently. I just hold that. Could work on controlling this board a little bit, but I could also just draw some cards. The kit actually doesn't do too much for us because we'd have to draw into our spell in order for it to really pop off. So I think we'll just bounce the Rafiki. So I have to put Maleficent and Merlin into the Briar Tuck. Iki, Olaf. Not a great draw for my opponent. Doing well at keeping up with the race here. Ooh. Opponent's not gonna like that though. It was in due time. Where are we at now? We're at 5. I think instead of letting my opponent draw, we'll just go with the Flint. Alright, we won't tap the Cloud Kicker so they can't get the Merlin draw here. Alright. Victory, victory, victory. Taking down another big control deck. Something that we didn't go against today is Steel with Emerald. We also didn't see any aggro decks, so those are some that if you end up playing this deck, let me know how those matchups go. I think I've played an aggro matchup before and did pretty well, but I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'll keep trying to focus on more and more creative ideas that help break the meta. This one was definitely inspired today by a matchup where I was building another Pride Lands deck that I'm excited to showcase. Spoiler alert, it features John Silver and it's really fun. And as I was playing that deck, I went against a Emerald Amber deck running Pride Lands. The match only lasted about 4 or 5 rounds. We were just playing in a casuals, but it got me thinking that like, oh yeah, Flynn Rider is a prince, so that's really cool. So that was the inspiration for the deck, and I guess until next time, you guys stay wild.